The salesgirl rips the tag off the dress, planning to pass off last season's skirt as new, to the dumb blonde standing right in front of her, but the dumb blonde sees right through the trick, and the salesgirl walks away in embarrassment. The girl's name is Elle. To everyone, she's the perfect living Barbie doll. She's dating a rich, handsome boyfriend. One day, her best friend tells her that her boyfriend has a huge engagement ring ready. So, Elle picks out her most beautiful dress, and her friends help her get all dolled up, ready for her boyfriend's romantic proposal. Elle is full of anticipation, but instead, she gets ruthlessly dumped. What? And the reason for the breakup hits Elle even harder. Warner got into Harvard Law School. His family has produced 5 generations of senators, so he's expected to go into politics. He says he needs to marry a suitable debutante, not a movie star who only cares about fashion. Elle breaks down and cries uncontrollably. She's never been humiliated like this. She storms out of the restaurant in anger. She might not be from a prestigious family, but she is Miss Hawaiian Tropic. Why would she get dumped like this? A whole week goes by. She doesn't leave the house, moping in her dorm room for days. Good grief. Seeing her so negative, her friend decide to take her for a manicure to cheer her up. Bored, Elle flips through a magazine and accidentally spots news about Warner's brother's engagement. The brother's fiancée looks plain, but she's a top law student at Yale. Suddenly, Elle has an epiphany. She decides to get into Harvard Law School to win her boyfriend back, but her father thinks she's too bubbly and that law school is too boring. The serious atmosphere just isn't for her. Her mother also thinks that, having just won Miss Hawaiian Tropic, she shouldn't give up her shot at stardom. Her counselor also tells her to be realistic. To get into Harvard Law, you need a professor's recommendation, an outstanding admissions essay, and you have to take the LSATs, scoring at least a 175. But Elle's mind was made up. Much to her friend's surprise, Elle began burning the midnight oil. The dull studying was a far cry from her usual fun, but she resisted every temptation. Even her sorority sisters rallied to help her. Soon, test day arrived. Elle took the exam with total focus. Before long, the results came in. Her sisters waited anxiously for the score. What's the verdict? Elle got into Harvard with a near-perfect score. Everyone was thrilled for her, cheering and celebrating her success. On her first day at school, Elle immediately stood out as an outlier, dressed in an all-pink suit, clutching her chihuahua, and bringing a truckload of personal belongings. But Elle didn't seem to care about the strange look. To try and look a bit more serious, she even changed her outfit. She was full of excitement for campus life. On the very first day of classes, she ran into her ex, Warner, in the hallway. She breezed past him nonchalantly. Warner watched her walk away in disbelief. That was a beautiful countermove. Inside the classroom, everyone had their textbooks and laptops ready, while she only brought a notepad. When the professor asked a question, Elle was busy looking around. The professor noticed her. Ms. Wood? Then he called on the student behind her. And so, under the gaze of the whole class, she was kicked out of the room like a fool. Elle sat on a campus bench, venting. There, she bumped into Warner again. Just as she was about to complain to him, that female student appeared again, and the two of them looked very intimate. Do you know her? I'm his fiancée. And the 6-carat diamond ring Warner had prepared was right there on her finger. She was flaunting it right in front of Elle, dealing a massive blow to her heart. She had worked so hard to get into Harvard, just to win back her love, only to end up as a laughingstock. Elle drove off alone to clear her head. She stopped when she passed a nail salon, hoping a makeover would lift her spirit. She tearfully poured her heart out to the manicurist, sobbing that all her efforts had been for nothing. The manicurist asked if the other girl was prettier than her. Elle said she wasn't that great, even with makeup. The manicurist made a quip, which finally made Elle smile. It was exactly what she needed to hear. Back in class, Vivian deliberately provoked Elle, using the hand with the ring to constantly show off in front of her. Elle decided to officially fight back. So, while Warner was playing football, Elle sat nearby, looking sexy while reading, leaving him too distracted to focus. That evening, Elle brought snacks to share, hoping to join Warner's study group. There was clearly an empty seat, and Warner was okay with her joining, but Vivian flatly refused. Elle had to leave, feeling dejected. She called her best friends to vent, but they were happily planning a wedding. Elle couldn't bear to ruin their mood, so she swallowed her word. Then her rival came over and tricked her, claiming there was a costume party that night, and warmly inviting her to attend. Elle thought she was finally being nice, so she readily agreed. That night, she arrived dressed as a Playboy bunny, but the moment she walked in, she realized, oh, my God, she was the butt of the joke. But confident as ever, Elle bounced back. She marched right up to Vivian and shut her down with a few choice words. Then she calmly went to find Warner, but when she appeared before him, full of hope, he just looked at her like she was an embarrassment. He even told her to stop wasting time trying to study. Her ex-boyfriend's words completely crushed her romantic fantasies. However, that was when she realized that man had looked down on her all along. She turned right around, bought a laptop, and started studying law day and night. While others were chatting, she was hauling piles of books to the library, endlessly studying and researching. She studied while while on the treadmill, and even while at the beauty salon. She started participating actively in class, too. The validation made her increasingly confident, but she truly realized the charm of the law. During one specific incident, she was helping her manicurist friend. The ex-husband had kept the dog after the divorce. Elle went with her to demand it back, but the man acted like a total jerk. Paulette was too timid to speak up, so Elle stepped in. She broke out her legal weapon to defend her friend's right. With Elle backing her up, Paulette successfully got her dog back. Holding her puppy, Paulette sincerely thanked her. For the first time, Elle felt the true power of the law. During one particular class, Elle utilized her professional legal knowledge to deliver a brilliant argument, winning the professor's approval. Elle's hard work earned the professor's appreciation, and he decided to recommend her for the internship. This was the most coveted spot in law school. The day the internship list was posted, Elle's name was on it. Vivian and Warner were selected as well. She made sure to go over and gloat to her ex. The day of the internship arrived quickly. They soon took on their first case. A wealthy tycoon had been shot dead at home. When he was discovered, his young wife was standing beside him, covered in blood. She became the prime suspect. The victim's daughter and the cleaner testified against her, but the young wife claimed she didn't kill him. Their mission was to defend her, although the professor was her defense counsel. But he doesn't buy a word Brooke said. Brooke is a high-profile fitness guru who makes a fortune. Since there is a large age gap between her and her husband, it's hard to believe it was true love, and not a scheme to murder him for the inheritance. The professor's theory makes Brooke furious, but she can't provide an alibi. The meeting ends on a sour note. Before leaving, Brooke recognizes Elle. The investigation isn't making any progress, and there are no other suspects. The victim's daughter has a trust fund, so she doesn't need the money, and the ex-wife was vacationing abroad at the time. Although Elle trusts that Brooke didn't do it, she hasn't found any clues to prove her innocence yet. Elle visits Brooke at the detention center, thoughtfully bringing her a care package. Elle's sincerity quickly wins Brooke's trust. Under Elle's persistent questioning, she finally reveals her alibi. It turns out, on the day her husband was killed, she was at the hospital getting liposuction. If word of this got out, her fitness empire would be destroyed, so she would rather go to jail than damage her reputation. Elle is shocked to hear this, but she promises to keep the secret. However, Elle's visit to Brooke gets back to the professor. He demands to know if she found any leads. Elle keeps her lips sealed. Everyone in the office urges her to talk. Even her ex-boyfriend gives her a lecture. The next morning, only Vivian stays silent on the matter. That night, Vivian comes to Elle's room. She uses the deposition files as an excuse to talk. The two sit down and chat for the first time. Vivian confesses to Elle that Warner didn't get into Harvard on merit, but because his family pulled strings. To think that they've been fighting over a total loser for so long. Realizing the absurdity, they share a smile. Girls burying the hatchet is actually that simple. On the day of the trial, the rich man's daughter testified against Brooke. The family's pool boy had been paid to commit perjury. He falsely claimed he'd had an affair with Brooke, citing that as her motive for killing her husband. Things looked terrible for the suspect, but Elle felt something didn't add up. During the recess, Elle went to get a drink of water to clear her head, but the pool boy cut right in front of her. Elle stomped her foot at him in warning. Suddenly, it hit her. She rushed back inside and shared her theory with Emmett, but the professor didn't buy her deduction. He insisted that everything requires evidence. Emmett, however, backed Elle up. So, when court resumed, Emmett started setting a trap for the witness. The courtroom erupted in shock. The pool boy tried to talk his way out of it, but in the end, his perjury was exposed right there on the stand. Everyone saw what Elle was capable of. That night, Vivian told Elle the professor was looking for her, saying he wanted to have a coffee. Elle went to the professor's office. Her performance had won the client's trust, and the professor praised her intelligence, too. He talked about her future, asking if she wanted to continue as an intern for the summer. As he spoke, he slowly moved closer to her. Elle thought her hard work was finally being recognized. But then, the professor revealed his sleazy side. Vivian happened to walk in at that exact moment. It turned out, he had only cared about her looks from the start, so what was all her hard work for? And what Vivian said next hurt her even more. Elle's world instantly crumbled. She couldn't accept this reality. On her way out, she ran into Emmett, who trusted her most. She told him she was quitting. She said studying law was a mistake, and being an intern was a mistake. Emmett insisted she had earned this herself. Elle told him what had happened that night, that in everyone's eyes, all her effort didn't matter as much as her look. What was the point of all her hard work? She decided to give up on law school and head back to LA. She stopped by the salon to say goodbye to Paulette, but a professor's words snapped Elle out of it, and Emmett filled Brooke in on the whole situation. Brooke was furious and called Callahan a piece of trash. Vivian finally realized she had completely misjudged Elle. Then, Emmett had an idea. When court reconvened, Brooke fired the professor on the spot. To everyone's astonishment, A pair of pink high heels stepped into the room. Elle appeared in her signature pink suit, making a confident, dazzling entrance. Her bright colors and the courtroom atmosphere seemed completely at odds, but Elle didn't care what anyone thought. The professor wasn't going down without a fight, pointing out that Elle was still just a law student and couldn't legally represent a defendant. However, the judge ruled to allow Elle to represent Brooke. Elle wasn't fighting this battle alone. Her manicurist friend Paulette and her friends from LA were there to cheer her on. As the trial officially resumed, the victim's daughter took the stand. She claimed she was in the shower when it happened and didn't hear the gunshot. She said she came downstairs to find her father dead, with her stepmother standing over him, covered in blood. She also claimed the gun had been hidden. Her testimony seemed absolutely flawless, making Elle feel a little nervous. She went back and forth confirming the details, drawing snickers from the opposing counsel. Then Elle asked what she had done earlier that day. Everyone thought she was grasping at straws, but Elle was closing in on the truth. She asked if the witness had gotten a perm, and how often she got them. Oh my God! Under Elle's relentless questioning, the real killer was finally exposed. Brooke was acquitted right then and there, and the key to cracking the case was the trivial beauty knowledge everyone else had dismissed. Elle became an overnight sensation, proving all her doubters wrong. Her ex-boyfriend, who had once brushed her off, came crawling back. This time, Elle walks away with style, heading toward a bright future all her own. 2 years later, Elle graduates. She takes the stage as the class valedictorian. When faced with doubt and discrimination, she never backed down. Instead, she used her wit and courage to prove her worth time and again. She is confident, brave, and fearless in love and life. She stood firm in being herself, staying true to her nature. May every girl have the courage to be herself and discover her own value.